here we go. For the headline, I got confused thinking, like, who's doing the tricks? I was like, is the homeowner doing these tricks? Like, I didn't get it fully. So I would try to write 5 to 10 more where we get that clarity. But there are still things I like. I don't mind the warning. You could probably, some of the options, take out the warning so you have the space to try other things that may serve you better. But I do like 3 filthy tricks I like to avoid. I'm just missing that bit of clarity that, like, they're scamming me. Maybe even language like solar owners are getting scammed by this, or something like that. Like, got solar, want solar, avoid this scam. Like, avoid these 3 tricks. This way I know you're talking to me and you're trying to help me, the consumer. Yeah, I like that. Go in that direction for another 5 to 10 headlines. Okay. The headline's good. 3 filthy tricks Arizona solar companies use to mislead unsuspecting homeowners. I thought maybe with mislead, there's a chance for a more powerful word there. Scam might be too aggressive, but, food for thought. Industry Insider reveals what to look out for in free solar installation ads and how you can reliably cut your energy bill in half without getting scammed. Not bad. I would love to know a little bit more specificity on the Industry Insider, like from where, who, how. So I try to swap that out with a few words that are a bit more specific so I know where you're coming from and it boosts the credibility even more. What to look out for in free solar installation ads. There's something to be said here, like what the catch is, reveals what the catch is in free solar installation ads. You know what I mean? Language like that, because whenever somebody hears that something is for free, they're immediately like, what's the catch? So tell them you're going to explain what the catch is. I like that. I would keep this and then write another 1 or 2 playing around with those 2 things that I said and see what you get. Okay? When a homeowner decides to go solar, they usually expect to save money. You could cut usually. It doesn't serve you. You don't need it. Here, I'll do it for you. Boom. They expect to save money, reduce carbon emissions, water consumption, and air pollution for the environment. You can cut for the environment. We don't really need that either. And why is this in gray font? You copied and pasted it somewhere, I assume, without changing the color to correct it. I believe you're writing this for yourself, but keep it in mind for client work. All of that shit matters. Well, surprise, you've been lied to. So the you kind of comes in out of nowhere. So I think it's a useful transitional sentence. If you've been curious about solar for that reason, know that these are lies, okay? Why do I say these are lies? Because the language is a little bit, it's not technically correct to say you've been lied to because, like, nobody's telling anybody anything here. So I'm getting nitpicky with that. You could keep you've been lied to probably, but it's a really good place to call out the audience and say, if you have been curious about solar for any of these reasons, you have to look out because there are lies and catches. Lies and catches abound everywhere. Something like that, okay? You would not want to end up looking at your bill and feeling a surge of panic to realize you're spending even more, that you haven't saved any money at all. This ties into Ning's point about taking it harder. Bringing it to the you and painting that picture of you receive your bill, you think it's going to be lower, and it ends up actually being higher. You paint that picture for them, and then you will have also accomplished what Ning says, to go harder in that direction. Why does this happen to good people who are trying to get solar panels? Well, here's why. The system they sold you is too small. I agree with Ning that, got to get this more simple and clear. So maybe I'll run through one and try to do it for you on the fly just so you can see the way they do that. Also, this line, they sold you, like, you want to say why they did that. Why did they trick you in this way? They sold you an and they sold you a too small system. A too small system is a little bit weird, so I want you to make that better, but for the sake of moving here, they sold you a too small system to close your business or whatever, right? They sold you a too small system to get you to sign the check, but that wasn't what your house really needs. You know what I mean? That whole thing, and you could get that language nice and tight, but that whole thing explains the trick right there, okay? And then you could just have a little bit of supplementary language following the trick, okay? Because even nowhere in there are you answering why would they do that. If anything, my thought might be they want to sell me a bigger system because bigger system is more expensive. But, I can understand and use my brain power to say, oh, they, in order to close me, they have sold me something that was small, and it wasn't what I really needed, okay? So when you say all of that in the headline, you can then just give another line or two of explanation of, in order to close your business and make your initial investment seem more attractive to you, the sales agent likely sold you a package that does not meet the energy needs of your home. What's wrong with this, right? There's how you get that human speak conversational language. What's wrong with this? ? Well, the solar system will be strained, and therefore your monthly energy bill is actually going to be higher when this happens to you. Okay, that keeps it really, really simple. Let me see what we wrote here. And here's a super insider trick behind the trick. A smaller system may cost less than a properly sized system, so the homeowner thinks they're getting a better deal. Oh, so you did say it. But you got to say that's why they trick you, okay? This trick is one that completely fools most homeowners because they don't know how to compare the total system energy production between different quotes. Yes, that is total industry speak, but you could just cut it. Doing it the way that I said, it's totally unnecessary. You could add a segue. I think it's an optional stylistic choice. If you were to do, you could leave it out for simplicity. If you were to do a segue, you want to do it in a sense that sort of acts like an exclamation point, both for what you just said and for what you're about to say. So a segue would be something like, this is one of the most common tricks that costs hundreds of thousands of people hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this next one is just as sinister, right? Or whatever, something like that. I would use more specific language than sinister, but you get my point. Okay, sneaky trick number two. Free is not free. So I don't hate that, but in following what I've told you to do over here, I want you to do a similar thing in number 2, so there's uniformity in the piece, right? I would say the freebies, in quotes, they give you come at a high cost, okay? Jumping off point, just making this a little bit more meaty, all right? The system and or battery you might be offered by a salesman is not actually free, okay? In fact, like this, the free, put it in quotes, system and or battery the salesman is offering you is not actually free at all, okay? Really just emphatic, beef it up, make it more important. Notice I also emphasized the salesman. Talk about the salesman in here too. He is the villain, okay? So now we have a villain. Sneaky trick from the salesman, and I'll get to it in a bit because you differentiate yourself from the salesman at the bottom, but now that we do that, we can open a loop to it at the top as well, okay? So just remember that throughout. The salesman does this trick to you. The salesman sells you a system that is too small. The salesman offers you a battery that they claim is free, but it actually comes at a huge cost to you, and here's how. So let's see if I could get this a little bit in more simple language for you. All the costs are included in the total price of the system. Just because you do not have a separate line in item charge for these costs doesn't mean it's free. The free battery ones are the most deceptive. These adverts only exist as a hook, so a homeowner's name can be sold to several solar installers. This leaves salespeople explaining that there is no free battery, which isn't pleasant for anyone. I don't really have any idea what this means. And a lot of giveaways are funded by bumping up the price of the system. The homeowner literally gets their own money back. Sad but true, and it happens quite. Yes. I also do not know entirely what it means. Just write it. So the freebie the salesman offers you is not free. And then again, just another few lines from that consumer's point of view. So the salesman might have sold you on a free battery. But when you look at your overall costs, you see that that free item is just baked into the other costs. Something like that to keep it simple and understandable. You don't need to go into all of this detail. You really don't. Okay. Similar thoughts on the segue as you go from 2 to 3, sneaky trick 3. You don't understand the real warranty. So let's keep it to the salesman, the villain. The salesman writes a dubious warranty. Okay, the salesman gives you a dubious warranty, right? And if you're really going to keep it to not explaining it, then it would be the salesman intentionally does not explain the warranty, right? Something like that. Okay. In many cases, warranties do not cover shipping, labor, or a repair technician. So again, like talk about the you. So you never want something to go wrong with your solar system, of course, but when it does, most owners find, and you would be heartbroken to find, that shipping, labor, and repair who shows up are usually never included in a standard warranty. This might be an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself if you're able to offer a better warranty. So if so, you could open a loop for that in there. Okay. Yeah, and then I would just say, don't give them a lot of work, but again, this is a good point of differentiation. Instead of giving the end user the work, read the warranty carefully, make it easy for the end user and say, work with me instead, because I am legit and I'm not going to do that to you, okay? So we got our little summary. I don't think you need to summarize them there. Nope, it's not necessary. Now you're more informed. I like cutting this line. It just doesn't do too much for me, but I do like congratulating them. Congratulations, you're more informed than 92% of the homeowners. Yep. Just by knowing these sinister salesman tricks, you're more informed than 92%. If you want solar the right way, if you want solar that is actually going to cost you less money, where you're actually going to be backed by a great warranty, where you're actually going to get legitimate freebies. Okay, fill in your zip code here to see if you qualify, right? So you're offering the solution. Don't just say, okay, here's another solar guy. Say this now. You could come to the solar guy where there are no 3 tricks, but be specific about that. And when you say, right here, work with a consultant who is not under the pressure of a sales quota, that is where the foiling of the salesman in the top and you at the bottom can come to a nice cross the finish line, through line close. Here, I would really emphasize that. So, you can say, all right, now that you know these tricks, do you want to work with a solar guy, an expert who, again, doesn't do the 3 tricks. The reason why we don't do these 3 tricks is because we are not under the pressure of a sales quota, okay? See if you qualify, right? There we go. That is the through line that takes it all the way home. And like I said, you could maybe open a loop somewhere, even when you write one that says, why are you an insider? Like the laddering of salesman bad, me good, okay? You could potentially open a loop for that at the top. Okay, hope this is helpful. Thanks for sharing. Okay, this one slipped in just as I was saying the shop is closed comment, so I want to do this one also. What is going on here? Like, what is the offer? Because when I get all the way to the end of this little series here, I see that there is some sort of offer. Get in contact, select a package, receive instant access. So there is, the point of this email series is to get people to buy something. And so they have opted in for something. I do not know what. I don't know if that's clear on the opt-in page, But generally, this would perform a bit better if people opted in for a specific thing, and then you give them that specific thing. Maybe it's a prayer, right? Maybe it's one prayer, right, that they get in the first email. I would also immediately pitch in that first email, because it's the first email. You should get the biggest open rate, right? People are waiting for this one. They just signed up. So you don't want to miss the opportunity and not sell anything if your goal is to sell stuff, which I, again, believe it is. So given that, congratulations first name is just the most cliche, overused, like first two words of an email ever. It doesn't serve you. I would cut it. You decided to change your fate is not bad. You decided to change your fate first name it's not too bad. You're not far away from your lost inner self. I don't fully know what that means. So I would give you the usual prodding to do 10 more subject lines, really speaking to what they want and having excitement that all they have to do is tap the button to open the email to get whatever it is they signed up for and the thing that they want. Okay. This is like a lot of we, our team, we. Whereas you have done this. You have done all this stuff. Okay. Again, I would make it about you signed up for this thing, for this reason. You want this outcome. And that's what you're going to get both here and in our ongoing emails. So that's what you want to be prepping people for once they've signed up to your list. That's part of the point. You want to set the expectation. Let them know what they're getting and what they're going to continue to get. Okay? You are on the path to being happier than ever before, no matter what you've gone through in the past. But before you get to know what you'll get, let us introduce you to the pastor. Okay, why? Why are you interrupting me from what I want to introduce me to the pastor? Okay, you got to give me a reason for that if you're going to do that. The more ninja way to do it is to tie it into what they want. And the person who is going to be giving you blank what you want, insert what they want, is the incredible Pastor Paulette Bourne. She is so good at giving you what you want, be specific, fill in the blank, because she has incredible skills in helping women like you regain lost confidence, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, does all that make sense? Also, like the spacing changes. Why? Like why does that have a bigger space than that? If you deliver this to me as your client, I notice these small things and they mean a lack of care to me. I want it uniform and beautiful. I want to be able to just copy and paste it and know that it has the correct formatting and uniform spacing throughout. Okay, so you got to double check this stuff when you are editing. Here's another interesting thing. You decided to put in bold like the weakest, most irrelevant line. The line where you literally interrupt telling me what I'm going to get for other information that I don't necessarily want yet. Now, I've just given you the way to translate that into information that I do want, to connect it into what I want as the person who signed up for this list. But if you're going to put something in bold, put in bold, you are now on the path to a happier life than ever before, right? Because that's what people really want. So that would be the line you put in bold, okay? Here's what you can expect from prayer coaching. Okay, prayer coaching is, I guess, what they signed up for. So that's an interesting phrase. I've never heard the phrase prayer coaching before. So I might talk about like what you're going to get out of prayer coaching, like why prayer coaching is so great, how that is the mechanism that is going to deliver to people what they want, which is to feel happier, more confident, get over self-pity, so on and so forth. Okay? And then I would include the offer, okay? So I would say if you are immediately ready to take this to the next level, whatever that means, be specific about it, click here and check this out. It's a special limited time offer for you. Give a reason why it's limited time and send them to a darn product page. Make them an offer, get them to buy something. It's the first email, okay? I thought these subject lines were much better, because they're specific. They invite like a little bit of a promise. Who wants a miserable life, right? who people want happiness. Even if you're not aware of yourself, slightly awkward language, you can make that tighter, but compared to the previous subject lines, those are much better. Why do you gotta say that? I'm just reading. So many tips, a never ending, blah, 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 blah. Like, where is the thing? I like how you use the first name in the body at the end of a sentence. Not many people do that effectively. Okay, we're offering our one-time off. We're offering one-time off to our prayer mentorship to help you get rid of depression with prayer mentoring. You called it prayer coaching before. Let's be consistent with the name, okay? It matters. It's like a brand. I have no idea what one-time off means. I would change that language into something that immediately makes sense. I'm jumping around a little bit. Bear with me. If you stick around, I would not use that language. I would not invite the possibility of them not sticking around. When you stick around, you will get benefit, 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 all the things they want. You did a pretty good job listing them over here. This is pretty well written. These are the things people want. I don't see the word you anywhere. Might be good to throw some of those in. But both of those are pretty good. So I might repeat some and say, you want this, 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 this. This is the best way to get it. Here is a result somebody else got. And we're offering it to you because you're new to our list. And we want you to experience this. You could get it at a discount. Click the button and buy. As one who hires writers, if you have the testimonials or if you see them on the website, do the work. Go pick out the most pertinent, juicy, relevant testimonial and put it in there for the client. Or else you're giving this to me and you're telling me, Laura, go do work and find a testimonial. No, I will hire the writer who does that work for me, assuming, all other things being equal. I will hire that writer before I hire the writer that sends me off to do work. Okay? You see these blue underlines, you got to check. Way, how to. Way to, okay? Still have, not still got, right? The underline is there. This is what I say. When the underline is there, there is no excuse for a grammatical mistake. Okay? This is also a little all over the place in terms of the order. There's not one central idea here. So either of these could be a central idea. Like, okay, here's how you're going to go from being miserable to being happy. Okay, and that's it. That's the story. Stick with it. You might feel miserable right now. It's hard to get out of bed. Your relationships are shitty. You're grumpy. You're wondering where God is. You don't feel his presence in your life. You're not confident. You're not going out after your want. You feel envy at people who seem to have so much so easily, even though you know envy is wrong. Here is the solution. Okay, one story, one through line, and then you say, here is the solution. Here's the result it got for somebody else. 1 or 2 sentences. Here's why the solution works. Okay, go ahead and get it. Close. Like really simple A to Z. I could tell this email was written in one pass and that it hasn't been edited yet and it has like the weird spacing that I also don't like. Okay, I'm going to leave it at those 2. Well, what the heck? Since this is my last video, let me look at the last email here. You're no longer deprived of the essence of prayer. Here's how. Learn how to upscale your inner faith with this. I don't know about either of those. The danger of living without this type of prayer. Okay, that takes that idea and puts it in the pressure cooker, right? Because now I'm in danger and I have to see like what I'm doing wrong. Okay, I don't know if people want to upscale their inner faith. I don't know if that's a desirable thing. What do the people want? Triple your confidence with this one prayer. People would open that shit. Okay, tell the people what they want. Keep it really simple. Okay. First of all, I don't know that this is true. I know this is like an Andre Chaperone style where you're referencing the previous email. I don't know that I learned what I'm lacking from the previous emails, really. And good chance a lot of people might not have read the previous emails. So, and I know you finally make an offer here. So instead of sending them to click off, just cut this. I like starting with, let me ask you a simple question and diving right in. Would you like to be in a deprived, depressed, and exploited life, all due to the inferiority complex and fear that ingrained in your subconscious mind? Okay, that is not grammatically correct. And it's too much. It's a mouthful. You could be, it's not a simple question. You could ask an actual simple question, like, Do you want to be stuck in depression forever? Do you want to feel inferior forever? No? Okay, great. Here's what you should do then. Okay, just make it much, much more simple. Okay? Again, find the testimonials for me, and very similar structure to closing it out, like I said in the previous email. Also, like different packages and classes. Like, do people want packages and classes? There's also no reason for those to be capitalized. Instead of telling them about packages and classes, tell them, click here to get what you want. Click here to see how to get the solution, okay, that you could get for a discount right now. All right? Very simple. And then, like, do they have to reply? You know? Is there a link? Are they replying? Like, that has to be crystal clear. Maybe they have to reply in order to access the packages. Okay? Like, if so, I would say that. The only way to get your hands on these packages, because they're powerful and they're exclusive, is to reply to us. So we can make sure you're a fit, and we'll send you the right package with the right discounted link that is special for you. Okay? If they're clicking a link, then there is no need for them to reply. They're separate, dedicated emails that you use to solicit replies, to learn about your list, to improve your deliverability, and all of that stuff. But you usually, most of the time, would not do that in the same email where you're trying to make a sale, because you're giving people too many things to do and you will get less sales. Same bag here. Okay? All right. Hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for sharing.
By the way, I have an incredibly valuable free gift for you. It's called the 6 Simple Mind Frame Shifts that can add an extra 0 to your business. This guide is potent. It is something that every entrepreneurial person needs to see. Go check that out at mindframe.me.
So we got a Facebook ad. Therefore, I need clearly delineated formatting telling me what is what. Is this supposed to be the headline that actually appears at the bottom of the Facebook ad underneath the photo or video? I believe so. But as your client, I don't know. So that has to be clearly said. For Facebook ads, I like to deliver them the way they're shown on the feed. So I would start with the actual ad copy and I would say, like, Facebook ad copy, like on top, bold, underlined, so my client knows what's what. Then I would get into the ad copy and then I would say headline and then say what the headline is underneath. This font is a little, especially in italics, it's a little annoying to read. So I would just make sure that you deliver work in a nice, clean font that's easy for your client to read. Assuming that this is your headline that goes underneath the video or image, it would be too long for a Facebook ad, and I will read it. Announcing a disruptive training system that revealed simple steps to become a profitable trainer, which you've never been told about before. That is a mouthful with like no juice. So I would totally cut it and start again from scratch. Luckily for you, you have some decent stuff down at the bottom here that would be good material for your headline. But you open with this story that kind of goes back and forth, raises a lot of skepticism, doesn't include much specificity, and in some places does not make any sense at all. And you capitalize random words, which if I saw that in a Facebook ad from somebody who is supposed to be teaching me how to make money, I would not trust them. And if you delivered that to me as your client, I would not trust you too much either. So there's no reason for first to be capitalized, trading, standard, grew, like all of these. So you got to look out for that. No bueno. Like going from feeling like a failure to going from $2,000 to $3,430 in less than 2 months and then losing it. Okay, we're swinging around. And if that is the story, then that is a potential opening for you. At first, I could not handle the crazy swings in my currency trading. Okay. And then you say, I went from 200 to 34.30. 2 months later, ... new line. I lost everything. Right. And then, you'd say these swings and ending at 0 almost caused me to quit. But then I discovered, we move into this, the triangle of currency trading. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Because like that's unique, like that's a mechanism, that's branded, that's IP, right? So you would then talk about how this is what turned it around, right? And once I discovered, implemented, tested, and perfected. So you would even say something like, this has now been tested for 5 years or 6 years, and it's worked for years and years, and it's worked for other people too, right? So on and so forth. Because of all that, I now have, I'm now a great winning trader, and I have 5 other streams of income, and I live the life that I want, okay? Some small language stuff. So I'm fortunate to be considered as one of the profitable traders. That's not correct grammar. One of would be like, okay, one of who? So you might want to say that in a different way. I like the idea of saying this has helped me fund 5 other streams of income to be further diversified. But it might just be like too distracting as like another point, or people might want to go Google like, how do I start 5 sources of income? So I would probably keep this really specifically to the triangle of currency trading and just put another benefit of the benefit in here. You did it here, money to live a freedom lifestyle as a trader. Kind of awkward English. I suspect English might be your second language, which is totally okay. These are the bumps you got to go through as you learn. But you take it a little further, right? Like what does that mean to them? Like, do you travel? Do you have to look at the computer every day? Do you only look at the computer for 10 minutes a day? Did you retire your mom? Like what does that mean? You could take it a little bit further right there. I want you to see what you did here too. All because I implemented this advanced system I shared below. This is the safest and easiest system. So first of all, you're capitalizing random ass words again. In one line, you say it's advanced, and then the next, you say it's the safest and easiest. It's hard for it to be both of those things at once. So you probably want to lean into the ease and safety. People want ease and safety. And instead of saying it's advanced, to make it unique, you could come up with another word that makes it unique. People really like proprietary or little known, or, just brainstorm a bunch of different words you could use instead of advanced, because you don't want it to be both advanced and easy. Okay. Increase your trading profitability in 60 days or less is a nice promise. Compliance wise, Facebook does not care too much for when you say a specific time frame. I don't know. That is up to the risk profile of your client and what they want to do. You got an extra space in there. Got to look out for those things. But if you were to say something like this, it makes more sense to kind of do it towards the close. So let me go back and go through the story format one more time. So you talk about the swings. Okay, I like the swings as the pain point here, right? You couldn't handle the swings. You ended up on 0. Then the triangle of currency trading came into your life. It took you some time. You had to test it. You had to perfect it. Other people had to do it. But now that you have this system, okay, you're able to be an awesome trader. You're able to have a freedom lifestyle, okay? All because of this, again, because of the triangle, which is the safest and easiest system to increase your trading profitability. Again, slightly awkward wording, but you can fix it in 60 days or less. Why is the triangle of currency trading so good? Because when you get it, you'll discover, okay, so we're turning this into a transition. Instead of sort of just saying what's inside, we're making it more relevant by using what is inside as the reason why they're going to get what they want, which is to be more profitable at trading, right? So that one little transition does all of that work for you. It's wonderful. So why is it the best? Because when you get it, you'll discover, and that's like a hypnotic command, right? When you get it, i.e., you're going to get it and you're going to discover all this stuff, okay? So you list some benefits here. Again, random capitalized words. Please don't do that. Also, you did the thing where you don't write a lot of periods. I know this is a stylistic choice some copywriters make, especially in Facebook ads. Here, it's not bothering me. There's some examples where it bothers me. Here, it really doesn't bother me. So I just wanted to point out that I know that, and I am allowing you to do that this time. Okay. So you want to make sure that these are really quite juicy and feel very unique. If they learn this via a book, I might say like which page of the ebook is on. That's like a classic way to increase desire, right? Because it's so specific. If it's the 6-step blueprint on page 6, then I really want to get it and go to page 6. If it's in a video, I would say in video 2, whatever, so on and so forth. Okay. These are a little vague. And the ordering of them is off, right? So think about the prod, like I would order them so that the juiciest is up there, but also so that it makes logical sense. You know, in order to know how to bail out of a trade and when to stay in, you gotta have first like set up your account. You gotta have first entered a position. So I would probably begin with some of those benefits and talk about it, of course, in an intriguing, benefit-rich way. 6-step blueprint, a little boring. Unexpected holy grail, kind of unspecific and comes out of nowhere. How to calculate your position size, not quite sexy. As somebody who does a bit of trading, I know how important that is. But so to make this more juicy, you might say something like, this is the one stupidly simple thing that 98% of traders get wrong that screws them up from the beginning, right? Because if you take the position size wrong, then the whole trade could get fucked up in one way or another. So like this crucial mistake wrecks you from the beginning. How to never make this mistake, okay? That is how you turn something important yet kind of boring into something juicy and compelling, okay? Plus, how to develop the profit targets or entry points of a trading range. Don't fully know what that means. I don't have any reason to care. Okay, think of how I translated this one. I gave people a reason to care. So that's what you need to do with every single bullet here. Okay? Doesn't matter if you don't have much trading knowledge, even if you're just starting your trading journey. The only thing that matters is your patience, a strong and positive mindset. So instead of this, you might want to say something like the triangle of currency trading has helped traders who were brand new on their journey. That establishes like the social proof and credibility that it has helped other people just like you. And then you could extrapolate that to say, so, you know, this is a great resource for you if you're just starting out. And so you don't need technical skills. You just need the willingness to be a winning currency trader. Okay. Why do I say that? Because asking for patience, although required, people might not want to give you patience. Now, the one thing asking for patience does that's good is it makes it very believable, right? But you could do that in a different way. You could say, now, keep in mind, this is not for those looking for overnight riches, okay? But it is looking for those who really want to be winning traders. You see what I did there? So I did a little bit of disqualification, and that boosts credibility too, right? We're not looking for people who want to be rich overnight, and you want to be a winning trader. That's how you accomplish this without opening objections, okay? Also, a strong and positive mindset. Mindset is like sort of a niche term. So I would just leave it out because it invites more friction and more objections. I would leave it out for now. If you wanted to do a totally separate ad about the triangle currency traders mindset, that might be interesting. But I would leave it out here for now. The only thing you need, and implement what they share with you inside the triangle of currency trading. So you go from I to what they share with you. It's a little bit strange. I'd like to announce the new trading. So it sounds like it's the author's trading, and then you say what they share with you. Okay, so gotta be paying attention to this shit. Somebody's gonna catch it, and then they would not buy. Okay, that's all. You kind of get defeated as a writer and and just quit at that point. You could easily just delete that line, okay? You don't need it. And the results will marvel you. No. If you're interested in getting it for free, here's the link to request it. So here's the interesting thing. and this goes to a messenger link, I would include that in my call to action as an added benefit and as an added scarcity too, both at the same time. Now, because the information inside the triangle of currency trading is so revolutionary, we are only giving it to a few people who show that they really want to be a winning trader. Luckily, that's pretty easy for you to do. Just message us, and we're going to chat and make sure that the triangle aligns with what you really want to achieve in trading. You see what I mean? Some sort of language like that. So now the messaging becomes an additional benefit and an additional cool way to disqualify. Okay, now you've got a really juicy close right there. All right. You could even potentially, once everything else here is fixed, open up a loop to, if you're a good fit for this, you're going to get the chance to talk to me via message, right? And then you get that nice through line in the call to action where they get to link and message you. Okay, I have spent a lot of time on this. Hopefully that is helpful. Thank you for sharing. This is interesting. Okay, you have sent it to me in a PDF, which would not be my preferred way to receive copy from a writer, because then I can't make any notes or edit anything, and it would even be weird to upload it online. But maybe that's what this client likes. Totally open to that. It's also weird that this is at the top of it. If I received something like that with that at the top, I would not like it. Here's why. When I receive work from a copywriter, I do not want them to pull back the curtain, especially, and it's fine for me, like I know what's behind the curtain, but if you have clients who do not also work behind the curtain, I hope you get my metaphor here, then don't pull back the curtain. Don't reveal your magic, okay? That's part of your secret sauce. Don't give away the secret recipe. I'm assuming this is an email because you say subject line, even though for an email, it is long and you reveal the price, which sometimes we do in email, sometimes we don't. But I would default to not revealing the price in the email in this example. Okay? This subject line is long and not quite juicy enough. And if my phone or laptop is stolen, I don't really consider calling the police. It just seems a little over the top. What would be more compelling is like a benefit-rich outcome that one might not think they could have. So find your lost phone in 30 minutes, even if it's 10 miles away. Something like that. Like lost phone found in 30 minutes from miles away. Something like that. And then I would start there and I would try to write like 10 subject lines like that to, again, get the friction going and pick up the heat. Okay? You open with this story. I know your client asked you for a story. But why do I give a shit about any of this? Honestly. If you're going to continue with this story, here is your entry point for the story. Pretty classic. We open with the big dramatic quote. No, God, please. No, no, no. I ran into my apartment sweaty after badminton. Okay, you could still get the badminton detail in there to discover that I had been robbed. It was the worst feeling in the world, right? Go from the experience to the feeling. I felt so violated. I felt unsafe, whatever language you would use there. And things felt worse and worse as I discovered that my iPhone and MacBook were missing. And then I like moving right into this point. This is a great point. And then I shook to my core when I realized all my bank accounts, all my crypto wallets were all on that. And the thief had all of that in his hands right now. So, yeah, you don't need the details of going to update the passwords, I don't think. I would keep it to, we're getting the story down to like four lines, okay? And then we want to be pulling in the reader right away. So I'm sharing the way I discovered, like, to make this never happen again, and to make sure it never happens to you. Another type of story you could tell would be more dramatic, of like, I lost my phone, fell off a cliff while I was hiking, right? And I was alone and scared and had no idea how to get off the trail. You know, I don't know if that exactly works with the tracker, but make the situation a little bit more scary, or really keep it to losing the bank account info. And then, because you had the tracker already, you were able to find your computer and get all your banking info back, and it was safe. You know, that is the just clearer, easier story to tell, versus I went through this thing, I ran to my friend's house, I got the tracker, and then somebody else like had a positive experience with the tracker, so now I know I'm safe going forward. You know what I mean? It's just a way more convoluted for no good reason. So if you're opening with this and you're getting robbed, already have the tracker on your computer. Makes sense. Whole lot clearer there. So what was this tracker that enables me to get my computer back and make sure all my personal info, my banking, my identity, my social security number were safe? It's this, okay? It's this. And then here you go. Like, here's everything it does. There's a special sale on it right now. I would not say the price. I would say there's a limited time sale, of course. Say the reason why the sale is limited and it's only going on for 48 hours. And when you say, here's what the software does, I believe you gotta contrast it a little bit against the existing options. Okay. You gotta say why this is special beyond whatever other software might already exist, because then people might just get the idea, oh, let me go Google like some sort of software and try to find something for free. So you got to bring in what makes this one extra unique and valuable. And then, yeah, close it down. Tell them to go take advantage of the limited time deal. Okay. So yeah, just making this a whole lot cleaner of a story overall and more compelling subject lines, and removing the price. Okay, thank you for sharing. Hope it is helpful. Mwah.
I actually have a free tool for you that will help you best determine which action step to take next given your unique situation, so that you can get a win for your business in the next 24 hours. And that tool is over at bizwintoday.com.
Okay, next up, thank you for sharing. In the interest of time, I'm only going to critique the first email, okay? No, when you title a series here, if you're like, okay, make it a title, like put it in a different sort of formatting, center it, like loss is randomly capitalized. When you do stuff like that, it sends, and it might be subconscious and it might be conscious. It depends on the client, right? But they're going to notice a little bit of a lack of care, a little bit of rushing with these tiny mistakes like that. So very much caution you against them. If it's going to be a title, do a full on title, okay? One thing you've accomplished really well in this email is that you really kept it to one thing. Like, you're talking about the enzyme. It's the rule of one. Very good. Pat on the back. Because if that did not happen, I wouldn't be able to go into the more in-depth critique on which I'm about to embark. These subject lines. You know, this is a competitive space, and we've seen a lot of subject lines about losing weight. Therefore, you are tasked to say something really kind of revolutionary or counterintuitive or curiosity invoking, right? This simple enzyme helps you burn fat and get in shape is not quite there. In order to get this deeper and put it in the pressure cooker, as I like to say, and I might say in every single video I'm filming right now, start asking yourself some questions, right? Like, why? What is it about this enzyme? Why is this enzyme different? In what way does it burn fat? Can you get more specific in the imagery of burning fat or getting in shape, right? Because these things are vague and cliche. Exclamation points, I am not a fan of nearly ever. Anybody who hears from me knows this. So I would cut them. I could tell when the writer is not feeling as strong in the copy because that's when the exclamation marks come out. Works like that every time. So rather than rely on an exclamation point to denote enthusiasm, get the language really juicy. Again, specific imagery, what is really counterintuitive, what is really unique, right? Does this enzyme have some sort of name? Does the effect that it brings to the body have some sort of name? Can you give it a name, right? Stuff like this. Can you eat fatty foods without getting fat? You know, you're trying to be counterintuitive and you're asking a question. So the level of market awareness is significant here because a lot of people now understand that you can eat fatty foods without getting fat. So can you pressurize this by, you know, saying like a myth about fatty foods debunked, or what do most people get wrong about this, right? So let's say some people know that you can eat fatty foods without getting fat, but so how are they fucking it up, right? That might be a question that I ask to try to get this subject line a little bit deeper, a little bit more punchy, a little bit more unique and more interesting. Don't buy another weight loss supplement until you read this. Vague, cliche. That gives me no real reason to open it, you know? Like, why? What about this is going to make me not want to buy another weight loss supplement? Of course, we have the exclamation point, which I think is weak. And it kind of just gives me the idea to open Amazon and buy a weight loss supplement. You know, as soon as you tell me not to do something, I think about doing it. Okay. What if you could get rid of fat effortlessly without working your fingers to the bone in the gym or taking another weight loss pill? So, as I said, at the macro level, you talk about one thing here, and that's really good. I think overall, and I think once you get those subject lines really tight, it's going to inform what you say in the work to get the overall body to be a bit more juicy, a bit more unique, a bit more compelling, and a bit more, I have to take action right now. So given that, what I'm going to take this opportunity in the critique to do is a little bit of line-based stuff because some stuff needs some work, right? Working your fingers to the bone in the gym. I don't know that anybody works their fingers to the bone in the gym. So that's a little bit of weird language. Or taking another weight loss pill. Instead of something like this, you might want to consider building up the pain a little bit more of how much it sucks to be fat and not lose weight, even though you really, really, really want to. It could be a little bit more simple in that way, okay? Researchers in the North Central Lab have discovered a special enzyme that the body produces naturally. The North Central Lab, I don't know if that's correct. Special enzyme, can you name it? Again, give it a name, like, how did they just discover it? Like, give me a little bit more because it's going to boost credibility and intrigue, which helps to gobble globs of fat and convert them to fuel, which the body uses as fuel. Gobble globs of fat. I mean, the poet in me appreciates that, but I don't know if it's very effective from a copy point of view. You may want to get more specific in the imagery or create a metaphor of this enzyme, like eating the fat off of your body or whatever it may be, or converting the fat to fuel. You could do a deeper metaphor for that, right? Again, the repetition of fuel, if I was your client and I saw that, I would not be pleased. That would indicate to me a lack of care that you wrote this in one quick take and did not reread it. So careful when you repeat words like that. This enzyme, I assume you put that in red because it's supposed to be a link, in which case do not leave that to chance with your clients. You want to make it explicitly clear. So go ahead, put it in blue, put it underlined, and if you have the link available, go ahead and just make the hyperlink for them so they know exactly what those words are meant to link to. Again, it would be way better if the enzyme had some sort of name, something that made me curious about it. This enzyme is produced when you eat certain kinds of food and breaks them down into tiny particles, which the body easily converts to fuel for energy. So we're a little bit redundant. You have already said that. So next you need to say something unique and different. So this enzyme is produced when you eat certain kinds of food. I want some specificity there. This could tie back into the eating fat thing, when you eat certain kinds of fats. And that is why if you do eat fat, but you're not burning fat, it might be what you're doing wrong. You're not eating these kinds of fats, right? So this special fat glob enzyme, whatever you want to call it, is in these, even if you kept it vague with certain kinds of fats, we're still getting more specific than just foods, right? Okay. And breaks them down. Them is an unclear antecedent. I hate unclear antecedents. What is them? I had to go back and double check. I have a decent IQ. I know you mean the food, but people are scanning. They don't want to go back and double check. You're going to lose them. So it would be, and breaks down these, again, more specific types of food into tiny, and then you just get redundant. So you'd have to say something different. Like, how do we take what you've said here? Okay, it turns it into fuel to the next level. Could it be that fuel is upping your metabolism even when you're at rest, even when you're sleeping, even into the next day? Could it be that it's also burning up all the sugar in your body, which is going to help you lose weight? You know what I mean? So we got to escalate here. We got to advance to the next level. All right. That's why even if you eat foods containing an extensive amount of fat, you're safe, because immediately this enzyme acts on those lumps of fat. There wouldn't be any fat left. So, I hope that's unusually said and still a little bit redundant. You are kind of just saying the same thing over and over again, and this sentence is not grammatically correct. So you got to double check on that. So before you swallow the next weight loss pill, click here to see how this simple enzyme can help you lose weight. P.S. You may have come across the foods that stimulate this enzyme in the market without knowing it. So before this article is taken down, click to read. Okay. I don't know that your biggest competitor here is them going to the cabinet and swallowing another weight loss pill. So this might be more tied to what they really want. So if you really want XYZ, click here to see how this enzyme could help you do that. Okay. This PS is odd. The PS is a good opportunity for you to just quickly summarize everything you said in the email. So a good PS might be, if you've tried a higher fat diet but are not losing weight, this is probably the one thing you're missing. Okay? Now people are going to go ahead and click on that. You without any reason, mention scarcity, so I would just cut it. You could do a totally separate email, really developing the scarcity story and giving me a reason why that there's scarcity in the email. But when it just comes out of nowhere like this, it sounds like bullshit, right? Okay. Hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, next up, thank you for sharing. In the interest of time, I'm only going to critique the first email, okay? No, when you title a series here, if you're okay, make it a title. Put it in a different sort of formatting, center it, loss is randomly capitalized. When you do stuff like that, it sends, and it might be subconscious and it might be conscious. It depends on the client, right? But they're going to notice a little bit of a lack of care, a little bit of rushing with these tiny mistakes like that. So very much caution you against them. If it's going to be a title, do a full on title, okay? One thing you've accomplished really well in this email is that you really kept it to one thing. You're talking about the enzyme. It's the rule of one. Very good. Pat on the back. Because if that did not happen, I wouldn't be able to go into the more in-depth critique on which I'm about to embark. These subject lines. This is a competitive space, and we've seen a lot of subject lines about losing weight. Therefore, you are tasked to say something really kind of revolutionary or counterintuitive or curiosity invoking, right? This simple enzyme helps you burn fat and get in shape is not quite there. In order to get this deeper and put it in the pressure cooker, as I like to say, and I might say in every single video I'm filming right now, start asking yourself some questions, right? Why? What is it about this enzyme? Why is this enzyme different? In what way does it burn fat? Can you get more specific in the imagery of burning fat or getting in shape, right? Because these things are vague and cliche. Exclamation points, I am not a fan of nearly ever. Anybody who hears from me knows this. So I would cut them. I could tell when the writer is not feeling as strong in the copy because that's when the exclamation marks come out. Works like that every time. So rather than rely on an exclamation point to denote enthusiasm, get the language really juicy. Again, specific imagery, what is really counterintuitive, what is really unique, right? Does this enzyme have some sort of name? Does the effect that it brings to the body have some sort of name? Can you give it a name, right? Stuff like this. Can you eat fatty foods without getting fat? You know, you're trying to be counterintuitive and you're asking a question. So the level of market awareness is significant here because a lot of people now understand that you can eat fatty foods without getting fat. So can you pressurize this by, saying like a myth about fatty foods debunked, or what do most people get wrong about this, right? So let's say some people know that you can eat fatty foods without getting fat, but so how are they fucking it up, right? That might be a question that I ask to try to get this subject line a little bit deeper, a little bit more punchy, a little bit more unique and more interesting. Don't buy another weight loss supplement until you read this. Vague, cliche. That gives me no real reason to open it, Like, why? What about this is going to make me not want to buy another weight loss supplement? Of course, we have the exclamation point, which I think is weak. And it kind of just gives me the idea to open Amazon and buy a weight loss supplement. As soon as you tell me not to do something, I think about doing it. Okay. What if you could get rid of fat effortlessly without working your fingers to the bone in the gym or taking another weight loss pill? So, as I said, at the macro level, you talk about one thing here, and that's really good. I think overall, and I think once you get those subject lines really tight, it's going to inform what you say in the work to get the overall body to be a bit more juicy, a bit more unique, a bit more compelling, and a bit more, I have to take action right now. So given that, what I'm going to take this opportunity in the critique to do is a little bit of line-based stuff because some stuff needs some work, right? Working your fingers to the bone in the gym. I don't know that anybody works their fingers to the bone in the gym. So that's a little bit of weird language. Or taking another weight loss pill. Instead of something like this, you might want to consider building up the pain a little bit more of how much it sucks to be fat and not lose weight, even though you really, really, really want to. It could be a little bit more simple in that way, okay? Researchers in the North Central lab have discovered a special enzyme that the body produces naturally. The North Central lab, I don't know if that's correct. Special enzyme, can you name it? Again, give it a name. Like, how did they just discover it? Like, give me a little bit more because it's going to boost credibility and intrigue, which helps to gobble globs of fat and convert them to fuel, which the body uses as fuel. Gobble globs of fat. I mean, the poet in me appreciates that, but I don't know if it's very effective from a copy point of view. You may want to get more specific in the imagery or create a metaphor of this enzyme, like eating the fat off of your body or whatever it may be, or converting the fat to fuel. You could do a deeper metaphor for that, right? Again, the repetition of fuel, if I was your client and I saw that, I would not be pleased. That would indicate to me a lack of care that you wrote this in one quick take and did not reread it. So careful when you repeat words like that. This enzyme, I assume you put that in red because it's supposed to be a link, in which case do not leave that to chance with your clients. You want to make it explicitly clear. So go ahead, put it in blue, put it underlined, and if you have the link available, go ahead and just make the hyperlink for them so they know exactly what those words are meant to link to. Again, it would be way better if the enzyme had some sort of name, something that made me curious about it. This enzyme is produced when you eat certain kinds of food and breaks them down into tiny particles, which the body easily converts to fuel for energy. So we're a little bit redundant. You have already said that. So next you need to say something unique and different. So this enzyme is produced when you eat certain kinds of food. I want some specificity there. This could tie back into the eating fat thing when you eat certain kinds of fats. And that is why if you do eat fat, but you're not burning fat, it might be what you're doing wrong. You're not eating these kinds of fats, right? So this special fat glob enzyme, whatever you want to call it, is in these, even if you kept it vague with certain kinds of fats, we're still getting more specific than just foods, right? Okay. And breaks them down. Them is an unclear antecedent. I hate unclear antecedents. What is them? I had to go back and double check. I have a decent IQ. I know you mean the food, but people are scanning. They don't want to go back and double check. You're going to lose them. So it would be, and breaks down these, again, more specific types of food into tiny, and then you just get redundant. So you'd have to say something different. Like, how do we take what you've said here? Okay, it turns it into fuel to the next level. Could it be that that fuel is upping your metabolism even when you're at rest, even when you're sleeping, even into the next day? Could it be that it's also burning up all the sugar in your body, which is going to help you lose weight? You know what I mean? So we got to escalate here. We got to advance to the next level. All right. That's why even if you eat foods containing an extensive amount of fat, you're safe, because immediately this enzyme acts on those lumps of fat. There wouldn't be any fat left. So, I mean, I hope that's unusually said and still a little bit redundant. You are kind of just saying the same thing over and over again, and this sentence is not grammatically correct. So you got to double check on that. So before you swallow the next weight loss pill, click here to see how this simple enzyme can help you lose weight. P.S. You may have come across the foods that stimulate this enzyme in the market without knowing it. So before this article is taken down, click to read. Okay. I don't know that like your biggest competitor here is them like going to the cabinet and swallowing another weight loss pill. So this might be more tied to what they really want. So if you really want XYZ, click here to see how this enzyme could help you do that. Okay. This PS is odd. The PS is a good opportunity for you to just quickly summarize everything you said in the email. So a good PS might be, if you've tried a higher fat diet but are not losing weight, this is probably the one thing you're missing. Okay? Now people are going to go ahead and click on that. You without any reason, mention scarcity, so I would just cut it. You could do a totally separate email, really developing the scarcity story and giving me a reason why that there's scarcity in the email. But when it just comes out of nowhere like this, it sounds like bullshit, right? Okay. Hopefully this is helpful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so you have given me something that has had no proofreading, no spell check. I don't know if you have read it over even one time. So normally I would not critique this at all. I would hand it back to you and say, you need to bring me something legible. Looks like you might have written it on your phone. As to they, the, leaving the ends is small. So for all of that, I would just normally pass it right back to you. But since I am doing this, publicly for the group and trying to give feedback that helps everybody, I will say a few things. You wrote that this is an email, so it needs a subject line. You need to say subject, blah, 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 and give me 3 to 5 choices of subject lines. And then you would say body and give me the body copy. And if you want to do a from name, you would say from name above subject line. That is the format for delivering email copy to a client. I actually think that this first sentence is not that bad. This, I have no idea what the hell that is. You go on to talk about caramel-filled Listerine. Sounds very strange. So I particularly have no idea what that is. But Americans are going crazy over this new simple trick that magically kills bacteria causing bad breath. It's a mouthful. It's written a little bit clunky, but Americans going crazy over it. It being a new simple trick. It magically killing the bacteria that causes, would be the more grammatically fitting way to say that, magically kills the bacteria that causes bad breath. But overall, that sentence should be tightened. But there are like some few good things there. Everybody loves a new simple trick. We love that it magically works. So I would kind of potentially use that as the one idea for the email. Okay, what is the trick, right? You talk about how 25% of people have bad breath, which causes, again, which causes anxiety and embarrassment. Who cares? You know, who gives a fuck? The people selling the product care because that's the market to whom they want to sell it. But I don't care about 25% of people. I care about me. So a better way to say that would be, if you've ever felt the embarrassment or shyness or anxiety over bad breath, you need to see this new magical solution. And a way you could dimensionalize that or get the imagery even more specific is, have you ever found yourself leaning away in a conversation because you're nervous about how your breath smells? Have you ever dug through your bag, like looking for mints or gum, because you were nervous about how your breath smells? You need to check out this amazing new solution that gives you fresh smelling breath all day long. And here's what it is. Here's one unique thing about why it works so well. Here's what one person had to say, go buy it. Okay, like really sort of simple stuff. And that is the overall approach to take with this email. Yeah, as I said, the rest of it is a little all over the place. So no, you need to start from the beginning. And best of luck to you. Okay, hope this was helpful. All right, here we go. Headline, make it more spanky. Write 5 more until they start getting spanky. Dicks on table. All right, put the dick on the table. This isn't bad, but it's not screaming to me, What is it that's unique to you, right? You get to it all the way down here. So put some of that up there. Some of the stuff that makes it unique to you. This beginning is boring. It's a little boring. I am an e-commerce brand owner, so I'm your market here, right? So it's just a little bit boring to me. It's not very strong in the what's in it for me. And if I'm looking for somebody to hire to do stuff for me, I want to gather what that is right away. Not necessarily the problems with other copywriters. I don't yet care about that. You got to make me kind of care about you and your offering, and then use this stuff as a point of like establishing your expertise, right? Because you're talking about the difference essentially between them and you. When you get over here, I care a little bit more because you're speaking to me and what's going on with me. To further extrapolate that, you say if you're having a hard time getting your email copy to convert, that might be the problem for some owners, and it's worth including. But what you get to over here is way more what the problem usually is. You have way too much on your plate, and you know that you're leaving money on the table. Yes, that's a cliche with your email marketing. So you could even maybe start like right here. You're a business owner with way too much on your plate. You knew that if you emailed your brand's customer list every day, you would be making thousands of dollars more per month. You know that, yet you're not doing it. You could maybe say, here's 1 or 2 reasons why, or, and I think I like this more, just dive into, I am here. I am here and I'm the best one to do it, and I can start today. These sales can start coming this month. Like, I think it just, the whole ad could be a bit more simple in that way. So you start here. Really say the money that they're leaving on the table, right? Like right after, and tell them they already know, like as if they know the facts. You don't have to teach them that they're leaving money on the table. Just say it. You know that if you were emailing your list every day, you would be earning thousands of dollars more per month. I'm here to fix that for you. Okay. And then we get to, how do I know that I'm the best person to fix this for you? Here's what I do. Okay. And I value like being professional worker, so on and so forth. And then call to action. Like that's really it, that's really it. That's what I would stick to here. Keep it simple for Fiverr or for Upwork especially. So yeah, I do all this. I didn't read this, each and every word of it, so I would make sure the writing is really, really tight there. I get a little blinded by you saying I every single time. I know that this is about you and what you could do, but there's always a way to flip that language so it talks about me, which is what I care about. So I would try to switch some of those I's to U's. And then I would do like, I would try to include some sort of package here and a reason why, So this is like, if it's going on Upwork and it's going to be like your profile, I might say, May's limited time package for new Upwork clients, right? May's limited time package for you, a new Upwork client. Tell them what the package is, like a 6-part autoresponder sequence for customers, 6-part abandoned cart sequence, and 1 month daily emails. That's a juicy package right there for $4,000, whatever it is. Spots left, 2. Okay, ready for this? Click the button and let's get started. Okay, give them the package so that decreases the friction of, oh, now you got to get on a call with them. Now you got to figure out this and this and that. Now you're going to jerk them off for 2 days and then send them a proposal like 3 fucking days later. They're going to delay for 3 days, blah, blah, blah. That might still happen, right? And that would be okay. But at least you've given them the option to go ahead and hire you really, really quickly just via the profile, okay? And then as you get work, right, and as you get more samples, I would include them in this piece also. Lastly, if you could include any samples from the agency or any samples that you've just done on your own or in applying to other gigs, I would do that, especially if you're like attaching a $3,000, $4,000 button at the bottom. It would be good for them to see some samples from you too. Okay? Hopefully that is helpful. Also, real quick, because I know you put a lot of material here and it's good, it's just got to be purposed somewhere else. Or if within where you did this could be a cute spot for a chart, right? Like other copywriters and me. And then they do tone deaf shift, they're off brands, they're late, they're annoying. You got to get on 20 calls with them, blah, blah, blah. Or you, and then like this chart looks beautiful and it's all the amazing things you do for them. That might be a really nice way to position this information as well. That keeps it more immediately relevant to me versus you just shitting on other copywriters. Okay. All right. Hope that's helpful. Thank you for sharing.